Hi, True Avatars, and welcome to your weekly queer video game podcast. This is episode 36, and I am your host, Zoe Wild. I am a transgender and bisexual woman, and my pronouns are she, her. Okay, as I mentioned last week, we are heading into the busiest time for the gaming industry, which is also one of the most fun times. It's Not-E3, the time when we used to have E3, but everyone still kind of announces stuff like it is E3. We're about to get gaming news, reveals, demos, and content galore. We're going to rip through the news today because for today's segment, we're going to have some fun trying to predict all the cool stuff we're going to see this Not-E3 season. That includes the Nintendo Direct, PlayStation State of Play, the Xbox Showcase, Summer Game Fest, and the Wholesome Direct, Day of the Devs, and so much more. Joining me for all the prediction goodness is Amy Lynn. Amy Lynn is a transgender lesbian whose pronouns are she, her. Hi, Amy Lynn. How are you?
Hi, not too bad, thanks.
And we also have poor Ekami, who I'm secretly blackmailing into guest starring in all my episodes. Ekami is a pansexual woman whose pronouns are she, her. Ekami can be found on Twitch streaming games, cooking, and book club. How are you, Ekami?
Doing good.
And since this podcast is always ladies first, last but certainly not least is Lloyd Lloydster. Lloyd is a trans man who streams a wide variety of games on Twitch. Lloyd's pronouns are he, him. How have you been, Lloyd?
Hello. I'm doing well, thank you. Thank you for having me.
I'm so glad to have everyone back. This is the first time I've had 3 guests in one episode. I've been trying for literally since January to get 3 people on this podcast who aren't me at the same time. So this is really fun that we're all together. I was hoping Zoe could join us as well, but she's also super busy. Other Zoe, not me. We have multiple Zoes, multiple Amy's, and one Lloyd. We'll find a second Lloyd, I promise you.
We kind of have to at this point.
Yeah.
Match the set, yeah.
So yeah, if you hear of any Lloyds that are queer and like gaming and want to record a podcast, shout out. And also, True Avatars listening to the podcast, I'm going to need you to send all your thoughts and prayers for all my regulars right now because they are going to be suffering through all the podcasts we're going to be recording over the next few weeks. I'm going to run them through, I'm going to run them ragged, basically. So I apologize in advance. Send those thoughts and prayers. But with those thoughts and prayers out of the way, I do have some quick housekeeping to get out of the way. If you like this podcast, please leave a comment or review on your preferred podcast platform. I know Spotify has ratings and comments, and Apple does reviews. True Avatars hasn't been reviewed at all on Apple yet. And I know 40% of all my True Avatars are listening on there. Reviews help grow the podcast, and a growing podcast means a happy podcast host who is forever happy and fulfilled that you enjoy listening to her ramblings, which creates an infinite feedback loop of more podcast episodes and more growth and more happiness. So please go leave a review. Also, please follow True Avatars, a queer video game podcast on social media. There are accounts on Blue Sky, Instagram, Twitter, Threads, Facebook, and YouTube at True Avatars. There's also a TikTok. There's nothing on there yet except a logo. I'm so sorry. There will eventually be TikTok content. Today is not that day. You can also find the podcast on the official website, trueavatarspodcast.com, all one word. And as soon as I have a minute, I'm going to start writing blogs as well. But of course, when do I ever have a minute? And remember, this is a weekly queer video game podcast, so check in every week. I aim to bring you news, interviews, and up-to-date discussions that are relevant to queer gamers. So you have a safe space to check in on the world of gaming from a 2S LGBTQI+ lens, wherever you get your podcasts. And we're going to jump into the news. All right, and we're skipping, obviously, I think that's clear from the show notes that I wrote. We're going to be skipping Queer Game of the Week. We're going to be skipping what we've been playing because this is a loaded episode. The next few weeks, we're probably not going to talk anything like any of that stuff. But we'll be talking about lots of queer game goodness because today's news has lots of queer stuff, good and bad. And not in the show notes, I'm going to blindside my 4 regulars already with... There's one extra news story that I forgot that I did talk about in the Discord, but I did not actually mention in the show notes, is that Misc, A Tiny Tale, the Chibi Robo Mario 64 collectathon platformer, has a release date, and it's July 22nd. So I'm sure anyone who follows True Avatars on social media has seen that every time Misc, A Tiny Tale posts anything on Blue Sky and Twitter, I retweet it, I reskeet it, whatever you call it on Blue Sky, I have no idea. So this game, though, comes from Tinyware Games. It's a small team of 3 queer devs, and they're from Australia. So like I said, it's like Chibi Robo, it's like Super Mario 64, it's a platformer, it's a collectathon, it's adorable. The description. Meet Buddy and Bag Boy, 2 tiny robots with big hearts and an even bigger mission, spreading joy wherever they go. After a mysterious explosion rains golden cogs and trash from the sky, the duo must work together to restore each village and uncover the secret behind the blast. Scrub mess, collect trash, and lend a helping hand as you explore a familiar world from a tiny perspective. So like I said, it's coming July 22nd to PC and Nintendo Switch 1, and it will be playable on Nintendo Switch 2 via backwards compatibility. I know I don't really expect any comments from my regulars because I kind of blindsided them with this news. But anyone interested in this, I'm going to have a trailer link down in the show notes. Go check it out. It's adorable. I played the demo back in 2022 when the game was still very early on. And even then I knew it was something super, super special. Anytime I have a chance to recommend this game to anyone, queer or not, like, I think this is going to be a very, very popular game. I'm secretly hoping the Switch is going to get a physical copy release because I'd really like one. But anyway, July 22nd. Go check out the trailer. Wishlist the game on Switch. Wishlist the game on Steam. Show them your support. Do you guys have any thoughts on this before we move on?
I watched the trailer. Oh yeah, sure. Sorry.
You've done more than me, so please go.
It's okay. Yeah, I watched the trailer because I realized I hadn't gotten around to it yet until you shared the news about the release date, and it looks really cute. I haven't played Chibi Robo at like any of them, and I've certainly played Super Mario 64. So I see from the trailer, I can see the influence of both. But yeah, I think it'll be really cute.
Yeah, looks adorable. And Lloyd, you had something as well?
No, I was just lamenting that you were the only source that I've ever heard of this game at all, and I plan on rectifying this, so...
I think everyone should play this game, and I think it's getting a lot of coverage too from like IGN and Nintendo Life. Like all the places I get my news from is how I heard about this game in the first place, and it wasn't until early January I was like, oh, this game looks really cute. It'd be really cool if it was made by queer people, so then I could justify talking about it on the podcast more. And I found an article. The only time I've ever used Screen Rant or Game Rant as a source for anything is did an interview back in like 2021 or 2022, and they're talking about how gay they are. And I was like, nice. Yes. Oh my gosh, they are exactly the team I wanted them to be. Which sounds kind of silly, but I'm just so glad they're queer too. And they're very sweet people. We have been talking briefly in DMs with each other a little bit too, so they're very sweet people over there, and I'm very excited for their game. I think it looks amazing, and I've been waiting since 2022 to play again. I think they did another Steam Next Fest demo at one point, and I missed the window on it because I think we talked about before that there's a time limit on Steam Next Fest demos sometimes, and I was like, I'm gonna download this for later, and the day after Steam Next Fest ended, I was like, I finally have time to sit down and play this. It's gone. And I was like, about to cry, so.
Oh.
Amy Lynn?
I think it's great that there is a sort of explicitly queer development team that is making a not explicitly queer indie game. At least from what I've seen, it might be a little bit more gay than I'm seeing from the robots initially. But, I think there is the expectation that, a queer game is going to be, main text or subtext incredibly, queer focused. And I like that, they're not hiding who they are, but it's, something different.
But no, Amy Lynn, I think you make a good point about that it's not explicitly queer. It actually looks like there's a heterosexual, small romance aspect to the game from some of the trailers. There's like a cute little boy robot and a cute little girl robot in like a dress, and they have I think there's like a moment where they're like holding hands or sitting together, like watching kind of like a sunset. And I kind of like that. I don't know. I don't need romance in my platformers, like, necessarily, and I don't know how heavy it is, but I do like that it's just a charming game from some queer people. All right, we're gonna move on now to we have some bad news, or not less good news, I guess. I don't know. We're gonna talk politics a tiny bit. We're gonna talk about how Donald Trump is still convinced that gay content turns kids gay, because fuck science, right? And now he's still bullying the PBS. Now that he's done bullying Sesame Street, and he's moved on to PBS and queer content, including a gaming documentary about a trans woman. So this comes from LGBTQ Nation, and they're reporting that the Trump administration, doused in deep logic and extreme empathy, of course, is now threatening PBS, even after the whole bloody Sesame Street debacle, with even more defunding because there are 2 tiny pieces of queer content that they show once in a blue moon. And one of them is a drag thing that you're not going to talk about because it's not really gaming related, but the other is a trans-focused gaming documentary. The article itself does not identify the documentary, but a quick search pulled up a 60-minute episode called Break the Game. And I don't think it's actually an episode. I think it's actually a film. But the way it's kind of formatted on PBS's website, it looks like an episode of another show, but it is called Break the Game. And it's about a trans woman who speedran The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild. So after Trump tried to get it pulled, the filmmaker behind the doc streamed it on Twitch, and it was apparently back on track to air on June 30th on PBS. But obviously Trump's priority list consists of canceling trans people instead of fixing the economy and not destroying the sovereignty of harmless nations. So, Anyway, the doc can actually be rented or purchased digitally directly from the official website of the filmmaker, and I'll link it down below in the show notes. Normally, I'm not like too big on like direct promotion, and this is not paid promotion at all. I think if this is going to be censored, like, you need to know where to get it, and also now you can get it in a way that's like relatively inexpensive, and you can support the people that made it who are queer themselves, or at least it features, you know, it is queer content. I'm actually not sure if the filmmaker is queer. Who has time to research things anymore?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's unsurprising, hearing about anything that Donald Trump is doing. It's a bit of a, like, this whole Break the Game, documentary sounds really cool. Like, I'm interested to check it out myself. But yeah, I guess we'll just see what happens. It feels like another, like, you know, his tirade continues kind of deal, so.
How many people on Donald Trump's team, or even himself, probably even know what Zelda is? Like,
Yeah.
this
They're
is
about
what.
to.
Well, like, you say that, but like, I almost feel that like they're not really paying attention to what it is that they're hating. They know that it's a trans thing, and they're throwing all the money and time and anger and fury they have against it without even caring or looking at it, which is kind of their, you know, mode of operations. But, you know, it's sad that, you know, and this goes for all the book bans as well. You know, so many of these people aren't actually looking or reading or even doing the slightest bit of research on what it is that they're trying to keep from everyone.
I'm so glad you said that, because we're about to jump into something that they're clearly not paying attention to, and their hate is very directed at a very specific Zelda-related thing, which is very exciting for anyone who isn't a hateful asshole. But for the people that really hate trans people, the people that are just directing their hate in the libs of TikTok fashion, where they're just like zeroing in on like last year it was Paper Mario. They were like, we hate they've never fucking heard of Paper Mario. I don't think they've heard of Mario. But suddenly Paper Mario is the worst thing to ever happen to video games from people who've never even sniffed on a video game cartridge. Mm-hmm. Ignore my word choice there. I don't know what I'm thinking. But anyway, the point being here is that this next piece of news is that Hunter Schafer is rumored to be actually, like, from a legitimate rumor source, who's Daniel RPK. I think he normally is good at leaking like Sony movie trailers. That's his thing. But he has other movie sources, and he's saying that Hunter Schafer, the transgender actor, is rumored to play Zelda, and it's great because I think we've talked about this on the podcast before, but she looks exactly like Twilight Princess Zelda.
Mm.
This is still a rumor, obviously. Like, this is not confirmed. It's not even like rumors of talks. It's just like through the grapevine. Maybe this was leaked through her her handlers or her like agents, for example. But as Amy Lynn was saying, it's brought the ire of people who don't give a fuck about Zelda, who even know what Zelda is, people who don't even watch movies, maybe, even. Because now suddenly everyone has an opinion on who should be playing Zelda, when up until like 7 or 8 years ago, no one had even heard what Legend of Zelda was through video games, because those games barely sold more than 5 million copies. And now suddenly, only 30 million people played Breath of the Wild, but suddenly, like, hundreds of millions of bots on the internet are, like, knowledgeable on the entire Zelda franchise out of nowhere. They're very, very mad about this. And we could talk about this all day, but I also do want to keep this to a fairly positive podcast. But I did see one fan theory about who they could get for Link. And I thought I didn't even think of this, and I think it's so cool. But the transmasculine actor who played Kobe in the live-action One Piece last year, Morgan Davies, could play Link. And they could do T for T Legend of Zelda.
That would be really cool.
Yeah. No one, obviously this is an audio podcast, but I'm like sitting here freaking out. Like, this is all needed. I think Hunter Schafer is a very talented actress. If anyone wants to watch something that's kind of accessible, that's not like HBO locked, that's something a little more relatable, that's like easy to kind of like consume, is like, she was in the most recent Hunger Games movie. Not the ones with Jennifer Lawrence, but they did that prequel a couple years ago. I almost called it A Song of Fire and Ice, but that's actually the Game of Thrones book series. But anyway, it's like something like that. It's like the Hummingbird Mocking Song something. I don't actually remember what it's called. It was not a bad movie, actually, but she plays President Snow before he becomes President Snow's sister. And she's, as far as I can tell, she's not playing anyone particularly like supposed to be trans. She's just playing a girl. And And she does a good job. I think she's very talented. I have disagreements with her views on trans people in general. She said a couple trans medical things that we're not going to talk about. But I think in general right now, you know, like the fact that they're targeting her, I still want to be in her corner because I think she'd be a great Zelda. I think the people that hate her as Zelda, we're not going to watch this movie to begin with. So...
if this is true, I do think that the net positives outweigh the net negatives. Like, even if we look at her, you know, her opinions on things, like, could have been worse when it comes to notable, you know, trans people who are in the spotlight, which are few and far between. You know, could have been worse options. Maybe not those who could play Zelda. I didn't know that the Kobe actor was trans. That's really cool. And I think that he makes a great link. Like, just I looked up his like out of costume photos recently, and it's like just right now, it's like that would be amazing. Like, I think that both these actors, the one rumor and the one sort of hope, they're like really good, you know, trying to match what they look like. At least sort of the, I guess, composite ideal of both characters.
And they're both talented. Like, they're both actually good actors. It's not just like where someone picks a random picture off the internet for an actor they like and think, like, I would like this person because they look like them. Back when Robin Williams was still alive, I don't think he looks like the traditional Professor Oak, but I always thought he would be the best possible option for Professor Oak. I think Jack Black would make a great Professor Birch in Pokemon. And these people look like them, but they also have the vibe, you know? And so that's important too. It's why I can never think of anyone possible to cast for Giovanni, because like I don't think there's anyone who like looks like Giovanni, but also has the vibe of like weird mob boss person who wears a R on his shirt, for example. Anyway, but yeah, so the nice thing about this whole debacle with Hunter Schafer right now as Zelda is that like I think what we found out about through that Glad Gaming report, where most people don't care if there's queer things in their Reese peanut butter cups. Where like, you know, when there's queer content in video games, I think for the most part, actually, most people in the gaming space are allies or they don't give a shit. Places that I've seen be a little misogynist and a little transphobic in the past, they're like, but she's Zelda. Like, who gives a fuck if she's trans? So it's kind of heartwarming, actually, to find out our gaming sphere is, for the most part, good people.
Mm-hmm.
All right, we have one more bad news. We have more layoffs, kind of. Actually, there's no confirmed layoffs, although I have to imagine there's a few through this. But anyway, so EA has actually closed Cliffhanger Games, and they've canceled the Black Panther game that was in development by that team. And before you ask, I'm clarifying that this is a completely separate Black Panther game from the one we were talking about a couple episodes ago, set during World War II from the Uncharted trilogy director. And that one is called Marvel 1943 Rise of Hydra. That game is Black Panther and Captain America, and this Black Panther game is a completely separate Black Panther. It was going to be like an open world set in Wakanda kind of thing. And that's been canceled. So EA is endeavoring to place affected individuals and other roles across the company, quote unquote. So hopefully that's true. Even if the game is shut down, these amazing hardworking devs finally get to go somewhere, or at least get to go somewhere, and work on other games at EA at least, right? Not all at once.
I have been hearing a little bit about this unfortunate, I guess, situation. Seems like definite layoffs or restructuring or rejigging of personnel. And I think it is, you know, it's sad for a number of reasons, because I'm sure that, you know, similarly, the Wonder Woman game is, you know, on the chopping block, and all the women, people of color, queer AAA games are going to be the first to have their studio shut down, and Bald Head McGunshoot is going to go ahead as always.
Yeah, I mean, we're seeing with the Mass Effect studio, BioWare. After Dragon Age 4 did not perform very well, like the Veilguard, we saw that team heavily reduced, and they're still making Mass Effect 5, and I'm sure Mass Effect 5 is still going to be a very queer game. But now we just don't know if, like, it looks like, I think there's the possibility that Mass Effect 5 never comes out, based on the way they, like, dramatically downsize the BioWare team for that game. Maybe they staff back up again when the game has to go into full development, but, like, just to have another example of games that like are about minorities or have a very heavy focus on minorities, getting the chopping block first. I think you're right. I think that might be what happens first, unfortunately.
I did read that the developers were really excited about this game too, which is heartbreaking because I think if it was not going well, no one would have said anything, right? Like, it's like, you know, Coyote versus Acme. There was so much of the people who worked on that film saying, oh, this was great. We had such a fun time working on it. The test screenings are great. For this Black Panther game, I'm hearing a lot of, or reading a lot of the same things. And there are games that get canceled and people just go, that was a shame. And it goes away. Like, this will probably go away, but you know, no one, you know, speaks up for it, but they're speaking up for this one and makes it even more sad.
All right, we have one more piece of bad news. I mean, I guess it's kind of perspective. I mean, there might be some good news in here if you haven't heard this rumor before. It might be bad news if you really wanted this voice actor to return. But it is the last piece of bad news before we kind of go into like a whole of like good news. Don't know what that noise was. I hope that comes through the filter. But Yuri Lowenthal, who voiced Yosuke in the original Persona 4, will not be returning for the remake, which may or may not be announced very soon. So obviously, a Persona 4 remake is far from confirmed. It's heavily rumored. But Yuri Lowenthal says he begged Atlas to play Yosuke again, and they weren't interested, apparently. So normally I chalk this kind of thing up to, you know, actor hasn't been asked back, or actor like reached out and got a no, but hasn't actually heard about the project. But the way he was talking about this, like he said he begged. So it sounds to me like through the grapevine is that there is a Persona 4 remake happening and the original voice cast is not being asked back. I'm also hearing that SAG-AFTRA, there's still like a voice actor strike for video games. And that's actually why, a lot of this is actually going down, and that, we're kind of seeing like, I know back when, Life is Strange Before the Storm came out, they had to recast the actors playing Chloe and Max Max? No, Max wasn't in it. Max's voice actress did come back towards the end. But Chloe's voice actor famously changed and people were not happy about it because there was a strike going on. So the game still had to meet its deadlines, which is why they did that. It wasn't like they were trying to shun the voice. I mean, I see both sides of it. I don't think people should be scabs, but also like, I don't know. I'm pro-union, so I think ideally you want these voice actors to come back. But Persona 3 Remake also recast, I think, all its original voice actors from Persona 3 Portable, so...
Yeah, that's interesting. Because I know Yuri's done, like, some pretty recent voice acting roles. And, like, Yuri's a prolific voice actor, especially for, like, anime back in the day. I say back in the day, it's, like, early 2000s was, like, his heyday for that. And so...
No, you're right. We're old now. That's correct.
And so... I mean, with the strike thing you mentioned, I'm like, that wouldn't surprise me, but it is a shame just because, like, I mean, now that I've fully played Persona 4 and it's the only Persona game that I've finished thus far, I mean, he did have a really unique voice, for Yosuke, and, but I guess overall I'm just kind of like, it's a bit of a bummer, but I guess not entirely, like, surprising, given that Persona 3 was totally recast.
I really enjoyed his performance. I did play Persona 4 when it came out, although as a silent protagonist, there isn't a lot of voice acting going on there, but phenomenal in the anime adaptation of Persona 4, which I very much recommend for people who have played some or all of Persona 4. It does interesting things. This is sort of a bummer as a BlazBlue fan. There's part of me who says, you know, we should be thankful for a English voice cast at all, because BlazBlue had a situation where, for the last game, probably in the series, there was no English voice acting at all, and the cast wasn't really made aware until, you know, it was, you know, already a decision had already been made. I hope, you know, if this is a union thing, I don't really want to get into that because, as you said, Zoe, like, I think that, you know, scabs are bad, and, you know, but I also get the love for these characters. Like, these voice actors do adore the characters that they play. So yeah, as you said at the very beginning, this is bad news. And also because whoever is the new voice actor is going to get a lot of hate, or probably some hate, which is undeserved and an annoying sort of reality of these things. I think I'm not sure if I've mentioned on this podcast before, but you know, it's of individual choice as an actor. You know, there are weird things with contracts. I guess semi-famously, Pit/Dark Pit's voice actor isn't credited in Smash Bros, although he is in the Kid Icarus Uprising, and that was a contract negotiation thing. So it's a complicated world behind the scenes.
Yeah, and just to like add on to what everyone's already said, voice acting, the field is just like been notoriously undervalued, underpaid, and so we don't really know what caused this move, and we can only think of, you know, looking at history and patterns. It's unfortunate, and when iconic voice actors, like, not to undervalue everyone else's role that goes into making a game, but when they essentially make the memories, you know, of all the people playing it, of all the, you know, they make such a big part of the success of an IP, for anything to either mistreat them or undervalue them, it's always a sad time.
Well, maybe this is all bullshit, and there is no Persona 4 remake, and that domain registration that sparked this whole thing was all, you know, it was just a domain registration, so they had the domain, and this isn't actually happening. And, you know, Yuri Lowenthal just, like, you know, he called Atlas and said, like, hey, I really want to do this, and they were like, no, and he's like, please, and they're like, well, there is no remake, so, like, no. Maybe that's why. Let's hope, you know, because I'd rather see Persona 6 than another Persona remake for a game that's, like, available on all. They made an effort on putting Persona 3 and 4 on all consoles a couple of years ago, only to say, we're remaking Persona 3 without the female protagonist.
Yeah,
so,
which was a different version, I think, right? There was, like, they just remade the less popular version or something.
Yeah. And then they were like, well, it would have been expensive to add a girl, and it's the Girl Gamer Summit that week was, like, really fun to watch because it was just vicious.
Oh my god.
But anyway, the rest is all good news going from here, and it's all confirmed news too, so something I thought we'd be predicting today, we don't have to predict, because Pokémon Legends Z-A has a release date. It's coming October 16th, which I predicted back in episode 23. I said the date would be October 16th. I was correct.
Oh,
Everyone should listen to True Avatars, because I'm always usually correct 50% of the time. So yeah, they announced this week that the game is coming October 16th, which is about a month earlier than it usually Pokemon games usually come out, which is pretty cool. So we'll be playing it a little bit earlier. They revealed the box art, which is cute, but a little busy for my taste. And they've also confirmed that there's going to be a Pokemon Presents, which is basically like a Nintendo Direct, but Pokemon focused. And they also show mobile games and stuff like that. And that's going to be on July 22nd. So the same day as Misc Tiny Tail. So we're going to watch the Presents, and then we're going to download Misc Tiny Tail, and it's going to be a very good day. And it looks like pre-orders are going to go live, at least in Japan, on July 23rd. And given that they revealed the box art here in North America and pre-orders have not gone live yet, we don't even know the price yet, confirmed anyway. It's suspected to be the same as any other Pokemon game, with a $10 upgrade fee or a $10 add-on for the Switch 2 version. But yeah, pre-orders are going to go live the day after the Presents on July 23rd. Yeah. Do we have any thoughts on this?
I know that a few countries are getting a random Sitting Cuties as a pre-order bonus. I don't generally buy physical games, but I do love that line. So I would be tempted if Canada gets that, but Canada probably won't.
I think when you go to PokemonCenter.com and click the Canada version, the ad for the Sitting Cuties is still there, I think. Everyone else talk. I know Lloyd, you had something to say. Amy Lynn, if you have more to say, recommend me. I'm just going to quickly do a Google while everyone's yapping.
Is for that box art, is it that sort of, I'm going to use your word, busy, like urban scene, where everyone's kind of looking at, is that a, I'm so bad at the newer Pokemon names, but is it that, like, busy city scene? Maybe I clicked on the wrong one.
Yeah, it's a darker scene.
Mm-hmm.
It just looks very muddy to me. Like, it's just like my eye isn't drawn to any particular spot. Like on the Legends Arceus box art, there's like the same idea. Like it's like a landscape with like the Mount Coronet in the background. Your eye is like drawn to the Pokemon in the foreground, and in the background, like there's like contrast, so like you can like tell that like not only is it like far away and there's like some depth of field going on, but also like the colors are contrasting. Whereas like this dark scene in Lumio City just kind of looks like a dark muddy scene. Like it wasn't lit properly. The colors don't contrast. Like the trainer of Commanding Lucario is actually a very important character in the story of X and Y, and she's kind of like far in the background. You can't really tell who she is on the box art, but when you zoom in on the actual key art version of that box art online, you can see her.
Right.
And they've also spoiled the villains, which we already called like months ago, but they spoiled it. Like you can see the silhouette of the two people who run the business, the big company, in one of the first trailers. You can see them like silhouetted dark in the background, leering at the whole scene. And you're like, well, obviously they're the bad guys, but you didn't have to spoil it so explicitly on the box art.
Yeah.
Maybe they're standing by to help out, because like Mega Lucario versus Chikorita seems kind of unfair. So maybe they're gonna like come in and say like, just use the Pikachu you have there. At least it's, a little bit more even.
I also like how Zygarde's cell is on the side of the he's in the promo art. Like there's the like squishy from the anime is like in the key art, but because the box art is cropped down to like a narrow, like a horizontal, or like a vertical, like kind of like phone slice. Squishy is cropped out, so Zygarde isn't even on his own game, just like Arceus. Like box art, anyway. And I did confirm, that we are getting the sitting cuties, the random sitting cuties here in Canada as well. But again, this offer only applies to the Pokemon Center website, and they're going to ship the day that the game releases. So you'll be waiting a week anyway for the physical copy, if anyone's ordering, just in case you're like me and where you have to have it day one. But because EB Games is now called EB Games here and it was bought by a Canadian owner, they're now doing like midnight launches, and like Nintendo of Canada is coming back and like doing like,
cool.
They're sending representatives for the Switch 2 launch and stuff like that. And they did for Tears of the Kingdom a couple of years ago. I think we're going to see more midnight launches for bigger games like Donkey Kong Bonanza. I know Pokemon will probably, if they get enough pre-orders, they'll probably do a big midnight launch, and EB Games will probably have like cool pre-order stuff as well.
Nice.
That'll probably be a little more unique. Whereas if you want these sitting cuties right now, you can just go get them. The one you get with the game is random. So.
Fair enough.
Okay, I know I'm talking a lot, but we're gonna... Oh, sorry, Lloyd. I keep cutting you off. I'm so sorry.
Sorry, I'm just a little... I don't know what the... Never mind. But yeah, no, I had to zoom in. I couldn't even tell that was Lucario. Like from where the initial preview was, I thought that was like a Gardevoir or something. And then I had to zoom in, and I was like, oh, okay.
We could only be so lucky.
Well, I think Mega Gardevoir is at least confirmed for the game already, right? Even if it's not on the box art, I think.
Yeah, it has the new cool key art, like for all the new Mega Evolutions, or not all the new ones. For some of the old Mega Evolutions, they released sort of new action poses for them, and Gardevoir's is really nice. It's kind of reaching up, probably making a black hole, as they are known to do.
Yeah. All right. Well, I'm sure there's going to be, every time Pokemon has news, I'm sure we're going to talk about it. I know we're going to do a big Legends Z-A episode when the game launches, and I'm sure at the day of the presents too, we'll do a bonus episode. So we'll talk more about Pokemon then, but we have a lot to get to still. Cyberpunk 2 has entered pre-production. We talked about Cyberpunk 2 last week. We talked about how I didn't mention this, but it's got a code name. It's technically not called anything yet. But this week they said the development has fully it's starting to get underway. So now they've entered pre-production. CD Projekt Red themselves said this. And they also confirmed that the current working title of the game is not I think what they called it, Project something. I don't think I even wrote it down. It had a project thing, and last week I called it the untitled sequel to Cyberpunk 2077, but now it's officially called, at least working title-wise, is Cyberpunk 2. I'm sure it'll get some kind of name like Cyberpunk 2094 or whatever year they choose to set the game in, kind of like Blade Runner gets a year after its title instead of a number.
Yeah, in the article, you link up previously known as Project Orion. Is that what? Yeah,
that sounds right. I think it's a weird code name, but I guess maybe once you play the game, it'll probably make a lot more sense. The same way Nintendo's code names make more. Project NX made no sense when they announced they're making a new console, and then you're like, oh, Nintendo X, they probably were thinking Nintendo Cross, because it can be handheld portable, blah, 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 or handheld docked, whatever. Anyway. So next we got some queer headlines here. Flick Solitaire, a cozy indie mobile game that reimagines classic card games, is adding queer tarot to its list of games. I haven't actually heard of Flick Solitaire until now, until I saw this Gaming Mag article. But it's a mobile game that basically does its own indie spin on classic card games with cute art. And most of the card games they have in the game are versions of Solitaire. Queer Tarot is kind of a bit of a departure in terms of the card games they're adding. One of the Solitaire games is actually, it's got those gay lizards you always see, like when you're scrolling Instagram or Blue Sky or Twitter. I'm sure you've seen them. They're like cute 2D gay, like they've got the various pride flags as their colors. And they usually, talk about educating people on how, like, queer stuff. I don't know how to describe it, because I should have looked up the artist name. I'm not sure. Let me see if I can find that while you, people ramble for a bit.
Are those like the chameleons? I don't know the artist's name, but if it's the same lizards I'm thinking of.
Perhaps.
It's literally called Queer Chameleon and Friends.
I love that. That's so cute.
I'm still trying to find the artist. Cool. Amy Wilson. Oh god, another Amy. Oh,
bring her onto the podcast.
Let's collect them all.
This sounds really cute, though. I like it.
Yeah. And so anyway, the queer tarot that they're adding, which is actually going to be out, we're recording on June 1st. This podcast comes out June 2nd. It should be available today. It's designed by Igor Rodriguez through the lens of queer identity, pop culture, and the artist's love of symbology, history, and myth. And I'm quoting from the article there. And Flick Solitaire, it's a mobile game, but it is also planned to come to Steam sometime this summer with no confirmed date.
Very cool. I might actually check this out. I don't really have too many mobile games, but that I play regularly. So, but I do like, I found out that I do quite like, kind of unique spins on, I guess card games, because I've been playing Balatro like for hours since it came to PS Plus. So, yeah, I think this would be kind of fun to check out.
I love tarot, and queer sounds like it's just better tarot, so if I remember, I'll check it out when it comes out.
That's how they should advertise it for queer tarot. Better tarot.
Better tarot.
Also, I'm just going to throw kind of a really spicy take here, but I believe that mobile gamers are gamers too. Anyway, let's move on. We also have news, and I'm going to pass this one off to Ekami, actually, because Tavern Talks, the coffee talk-like game based on D&D partially, which the full game came out earlier this year. I want to say February. They have announced a new prequel game called Tavern Talk Stories Dreamwalker.
Yeah. So this was a fun little reveal recently. I got an email about this a couple days ago, and then I shared it, in our little group, and then I was like, oh, we should talk about it. So, yeah, the game is, I'll kind of read from, I'll read the description from what I've got in the email here, but, the description is, run a cozy seaside tavern in this D&D inspired visual novel, the new standalone game in the Asteria universe. Taking place 36 years before Tavern Talk, experience an all-new story and cast of characters. Meet adventurers and alter their fates by mixing them magical drinks. And there's a little bracket that says revised mechanics, new ingredients. You can also gather rumors and turn them into quests. Again, revised mechanics. All in an attempt to stop dreams from twisting into nightmares. So this was something that I was, pleasantly surprised by, because, I mean, I don't think Tavern Talk, the base game, is, it might be like a year or two old, I think. I don't think it's it's still fairly new. I honestly still haven't had a chance to play, the full game, but I did buy it recently, and I did play the demo a couple of years ago, and it was so much fun. So this seems really cute. And I like the, implication there that they want to make, like, a bunch of different games in this universe, which they're calling the Asteria universe. So, I mean, having it called Tavern Talk Stories, I imagine they're probably they're hoping to make maybe a few stories games. Yeah, it seems kind of fun. and recently I said I bought the base game, and the DLC, so I'm excited to get through that and then wishlist this one.
Yeah, I think I think I picked up Tavern Talk a little while ago, and I've just been so busy. It's dangerous because there's so many Steam sales. There's so many good, affordable queer games. And also a lot of them keep going on sale as well. And we keep getting, every time there's a podcast, I discover at least one new queer game, sometimes 10. And they're either going on the wish list or they're going into my cart. And I'm like, I'm going to play this. And then life happens and I just get too busy. This week, I didn't even have any time to play any games, I don't think. But I literally had an hour before this podcast recording. And I thought, you know what? I should probably actually play the Mario Kart DLC and experience Mario Kart 8 one last time before the Switch 2 comes out. Do you think I actually sat down to do that? No, I had dishes to do. So I'm going to get to Tavern Talk at some point because I really like Coffee Talk, which feels very similar. And Ekami, you've spoken so highly about Tavern Talk in the past that I really need to get around to this one.
Yeah, the demo was really cute. And in terms of, in case other people maybe haven't listened to podcast episodes where I've talked about it, it is a queer game. The base game has a queer patron. I believe in the demo, it's the first patron that comes to the tavern. And they're super cool. And in this one, there's on the Steam page for Dreamwalker, they have a little blurb about what to expect. And they mention LGBTQ plus positive representation. And it just seems like a cute little story within the universe. So I think it'll be fun. I'm excited to hear more about it when they reveal more about it.
That's so cool. I was just sitting here vibing, scrolling through the Steam page, looking at stuff, and this is probably the most random thing I could point out. But I noticed we've received funding from the FFF Bavaria and the budgetary funds of the Free State of Bavaria for production. I don't know what that's about. That's just a cool random thing I saw. But I don't know, it's cool stuff. I just love seeing when cool things. And this looks really adorable. This looks great. I wish I downloaded the demo just now.
Yeah, go wishlist Tavern Talk. Again, I always recommend supporting queer indie games at full price if you can, but if not, their Steam summer sale is fast approaching. I think it's up towards the end of June. I'm sure there will probably be a discount for Tavern Talk. And also, don't forget to go wishlist Tavern Talk stories. But speaking of Coffee Talk and similar things, pretty much the same day that Tavern Talk Stories was announced, Coffee Talk Tokyo also announced that they have a demo available right now. And Lloyd, you played the demo, correct?
Yes, yep, I played the demo. I fucked up 2 of the 4 drinks you can make.
Oh no!
No, it's gorgeous. It's gorgeous. Coffee Talk has a formula that works, and they could spit out a dozen of these for all I care. For all anybody else can care, and I'll play each one of them.
Same, honestly.
Probably. I'm just laughing to myself because I played this on stream, and anyone who might not be familiar with me or whatnot might watch the VOD and go, "Did he enjoy that?" But I have a history of way overthinking things and then them not working out. And so every single time a drink order came up, I spent 5 to 7 business days over analyzing the 10 words they give you for the vibes they want for their drink.
Yeah. I feel that. That's how I felt playing Blueprints. If anyone's played that game where they have a little I can't remember what the type of game is called, but it's where there are 3 items, 2 of them are true, or no, 1 of them is true, 2 of them are lying, something like that. And the first time I came across it, I was like, wait, but they probably mean this. No, but that means that this is too simple. They have to do this. And I just, on stream, I just sat there doing this for 10 minutes and everyone was like, pick a box! Do it!
The murderer is always the person you most medium suspect.
Yes.
That's from The Office. I did not write that myself, unfortunately, but...
Oh my goodness. And in the demo, tiny spoiler, they limit some of the ingredient options because your fridge is down. And so here I am struggling so hard with limited ingredients. So there's only so many combinations I can make. But
interesting.
No, that's just me overthinking and taking things really literally. So that aside, gorgeous, absolutely gorgeous. The characters are beautiful. The color theory that they have going into like their set designs and their character designs is just, it's gorgeous. It's gorgeous. You only meet about about 5 characters, I think, total. That's not you, obviously. But we've talked about Coffee Talk off and on quite a bit on this podcast, so I'm not going to get super into it, but it is beautiful. It sounds beautiful. It plays beautiful. The characters are beautiful. And it's not fully animated for anyone who's not familiar with the franchise. And especially with this addition to the line, they do a beautiful job capturing gestures and emotions and feelings with just very subtle changes to the character sprites. So it's just gorgeous.
For anyone not familiar with Coffee Talk who's listening to the podcast, Coffee Talk is a visual novel that has the game element comes in where you are trying to make, you're given like ingredients and you're given some like tools, like some like kitchen utensils and stuff to help you make drinks for customers who come in, and you like talk to them and they generally don't know what they want ever. No one ever knows what they want, unfortunately. So they're like, hey, based on my vibes, what drink should I have? And then you have to go look at the menu and go, oh, well, they're kind of like a fiery personality. Maybe they want something like less sweet, maybe something a little more like different, or like, oh, this person's having a bad day. They clearly want something warm and comforting, right? And so that's kind of the vibe of the game. And
while you were giving a little bit of the description about the game, talking about the vibes, I just had like a flashback. The word indulgent was mentioned, that they wanted something indulgent, and my character just automatically supplied, oh, I'm sorry, the fridge is broken, so we don't have any milk. And I just literally went, how the fuck? Like, I was gone. I was so like, here I am with like my yarn all over the place. And, like,
Charlie did at the whiteboard.
Yes.
These games are available on pretty much all platforms too, so I assume Coffee Talk Tokyo will probably also be coming to everything. So if this is a series that interests you, like, they're all available right now pretty much wherever you can. I think they're even available on Atari. They're not, I'm joking, but like they're everywhere. They're visual novels, right? I don't know if visual novels are easy to port, but given the fact that most of them are ported everywhere, I have to imagine they're easy to port. But again, every dev I've interviewed who's made a visual novel is probably thinking, shut the fuck up, Zoe. You have no idea what the fuck you are saying. I'm going to get a phone call from Rocket Adrift in 10 seconds being like, shut up. So.
The episode's not out yet, but we heard.
Okay, that's our news. So we're going to take a very short break, and when we come back after this musical interlude, we're going to be predicting Not-E3, this coming June's game announcements. Hi, True Avatars. Welcome back from the break, and we're going to be talking about our biggest hopes and our most realistic predictions, and of course, like I said, our biggest hopes being our most unrealistic predictions for all the game announcements that we're about to get in the next, pretty much, I'm going to say week and a half. We don't know. A couple of these are not confirmed to be happening, but they're very heavily rumored from reliable leakers that we're getting a Sony State of Play, like a PlayStation State of Play at some point in June, and that Nintendo, around the launch of the Switch 2, we're going to get another Direct for the Switch 2. And the reason I think there's definitely going to have to be a Nintendo Direct is that they haven't really announced any release dates past Kirby's, Forgotten Land DLC at the end of August. But we also know there's another summer game, Dragon Drive. It's supposed to be coming. It's just summer 2025. And I think Nintendo defines summer till the end of August. I don't think they've ever said summer and then had a game come out in the fall. The only time that happened was with, was it Splatoon and Xenoblade? They got kind of flipped around that year where they said one game is July, the other game is late summer or something. And then one game is fall, one game is summer, and then they swapped their release dates last second. So technically then September became summer for them, but when they say summer, usually they mean by the end of August.
Yeah.
Anyway, so before we jump into, so there's a whole bunch of showcases. So I'm just going to quickly just say what they are. So there's the Accessibility Summer Showcase, Summer Game Fest, Future Games Show, PC Gaming Show, Xbox, did I say Xbox Showcase twice in here? No, Summer Game Fest and Xbox Showcase. My brain merges those two. Mm-hmm. So there's Xbox Showcase, there's this PlayStation State of Play, which is unconfirmed, as I said. There's the Nintendo Direct. And then there's a bunch of smaller presentations. I call them smaller. But they're not really smaller, but they're for indie games, for smaller games, not AAAs, where we have the women-led games for Summer Game Fest, Day of the Devs, Wholesome Direct, and Steam Next Fest, which isn't a presentation, but usually there's lots of games you've never heard of that are suddenly have demos, and you can browse through them and, you know, find games to your taste that are queer or not queer to play. So we're not going to predict every single presentation. We're going to just go through 5 of them. We're going to go through Summer Game Fest, we're going to go through Xbox, PlayStation, Nintendo, and then we're going to kind of do a catch-all for the queer games that could show up at any of the various presentations, like queer indie games specifically. So like the Wholesome Direct, there's probably going to be some queer games. But before we jump into those predictions, I do want to quickly highlight what I think is a really cool summer showcase that I had not heard of till this year, and I know they've done it before, and it's just flown under my radar, unfortunately, but I think it's really cool, and I think more people should know about it. It's called the Accessibility Summer Showcase. So this showcase, the Accessibility Summer Showcase, is an annual live streamed event highlighting recently released and upcoming video games which have made an effort to be accessible for a wide range of disabled players. So last year's Accessibility Showcase actually had a bunch of queer games in it, including Fishbowl, Rainbow Billy, The Curse of the Leviathan, Penny Larceny, Big Economy Supervillain, Videoverse, and The Shadow over Cyberspace. And I think a couple of those haven't actually come out yet, so they might even be back this year. I think Fishbowl is still in development.
Yes, Fishbowl's, yeah. Mm-hmm.
So anyway, I just want to quickly highlight what categories they talk about accessibility in. So, and this doesn't apply to every game in the showcase. It's just like some games have certain, aspects, other games have others. But there's playable without sighted assistance, games for aiming for playability by blind players based on audio cues, motor accessibility, games playable by those with motor control disabilities, including coordination and reaction times. No reliance on audio, games playable by deaf players or those with partial hearing loss, games with a focus on accessibility for players with cognitive disabilities, colorblind friendly games, font legibility, and content warnings. And this showcase, I'm going to try to list this at least once every time we talk about a showcase, but this showcase takes place Friday, June 6th at 8 a.m. Pacific, 11 a.m. Eastern, and 4 p.m. UK time. I can't list every time zone here, but I'm sure that is enough information for you to be able to cross-reference based on where you are in the globe. And I do recommend finding out when it airs if you're somewhere else in the world and you want to watch this, because I think this is super cool. I'll be tuning in for sure. If not live, I'll watch it later on a VOD. But let's jump into our first set of predictions here. Summer Game Fest. This is like the big catch-all AAA Not-E3 showcase that isn't specifically one studio or one publisher's event. So this is Jeff Keighley's event. This is like the Game Awards, but during the summer and no awards. So it's actually what the Game Awards should be, which is just, the Game Awards should be awards and no reveals, and this should be all reveals and no awards. There won't be any awards in this one. But last year, just to preface, they announced Monster Hunter Wilds, Metaphor, or at least had updates on those games. Alan Wake 2's DLC was revealed there. Wanderstop, an indie queer game, was revealed there, or at least had a trailer. Sonic Shadow Generations had marketing there. Neva and Lego Horizon Adventures was a pretty big reveal at that presentation.
Mm-hmm.
So I know everyone here has some queer games, some people have some AAA games, but does anyone want to take a stab at what they think they're going to see? Or do you want me to just kind of like set the scene for what I think is going to be in this thing? All right, I'll set the scene.
Sounds good.
So first off, I think there's going to be a big Kojima fest. Every time Jeff Keighley has any kind of event, he trots Kojima out and he lets Kojima monologue for like ever on stage, which I'm indifferent about. Like, I like Kojima, but also I don't need to hear him talk for an hour about like random stuff. I like that he seems to be very much into trans women. He's probably a bit of a chaser is the vibe I'm getting from him. But anyway, he makes cool games. He's a supportive person. And he's always making lots of cool games now that he's not tied down by Konami. So I'm sure he's going to show up and talk about something at this event, whether it's like a game we've heard about already or a new game or Death Stranding 2, like who knows, right? But I do think there's going to be a big Kojima moment. I think at one of these showcases, and I think this is the most likely one for it to happen, although it could be at literally any of them, Silksong is going to get shadow dropped. It'll be at the end of the event. It'll have to be because people will literally stop watching the stream to go play Silksong. Unless they say like, oh, it's available later today. But I think it's time. Hollow Knight is going to be playable at a museum in September. This game has to come out, and the best time to do it is to shadow drop it during an event. It will break the internet. I'm not even a Hollow Knight fan, really. Those games are too hard that game is too hard for me, but I know this is a very highly requested, sought after. Like at this point, it's got AAA marketing status. Like, it's been at PlayStation events, it's been at Nintendo events, it's been at Xbox events, where they confirmed the release date years ago and said it was coming out within a year, and then it just never did. But yeah, where there's smoke, there's fire. I think it's finally coming. I think Sonic Racing Crossworlds is going to be here, and I think that's going to be at every presentation. Amy Lynn, I'm sure you have some thoughts on that.
Oh, was that a setup, or?
If you want to talk about Sonic Racing Crossworlds, I think this is your window to do so.
So I do feel that there probably has been enough time for Sega to slightly address a lot of the concerns people have had. I don't think it'll be a major shift, but I think they will have tried their best, and we'll see that in the footage that they show. I do feel that aside from Sonic Prime, which has already been announced, we're going to see at some point the movie characters. And I do feel that Summer Games Fest would be a good place for Keanu Reeves' Shadow to show up. It would be weird and popular kid enough that it would sort of raise eyebrows and raise attention to a game that is going to be competing against Mario Kart, unfortunately, at least to some degree. And I think that'll be great. And it's funny you mentioned Kojima, because that was probably my biggest sort of Summer Games AAA space. Like, what was that big close-up of faces game? Was that Kojima?
To be honest, at this point, Kojima's making so much weird stuff that I'm not sure.
Yeah, it was like that weird thing where he was like, it's not just a game, it's like an interactive
I know the one
experience that will transcend reality.
It was like live action, like they used just like yeah. It was odd.
I think that's going to be Xbox, but I don't know if I wrote it down. He's got a game in development for Xbox that has like a weird code name, and I instead of writing down the name of the game, I wrote down Kojima Fest also.
Valid.
Yeah, so, I think Kojima will definitely have a large, presence at Summer Games Fest. Although that's what everyone thought about the Game Awards, and it was kind of more of a cameo. So, they'll fly him out for, less, so we'll see what happens. I would love, I think Sonic Racing Crossworlds is a pretty safe bet. And yeah, there's, I guess no awards to give out. So I'm curious if we're going to get the world premiere repetition going on as far as like the meta of the Keighley showcases.
Yeah.
How many Muppets will there be? Probably none, which is it's a shame.
Yeah.
We've been increasing in the amount of Muppets over the years, so...
Indeed.
Maybe at least next Game Awards we'll have 3 or 4.
Well, I'm
Bring
sure
on Animal.
Oh, yeah. Okay, well, there's a couple other predictions that I have. I think Marvel 1943 Rise of Hydra, I thought about it, and I know, Ekami, when we talked about this before, I was like, why did they announce the release date delay but not give any more information? I think maybe they thought it would be bad news to announce the delay, and now they can just, like, show a trailer with the actual new confirmed release date, and people will be focused on that, getting the delay out of the way. So I think we're going to see gameplay for that.
Mm-hmm.
They'll give the release date. I think Prince of Persia Sands of Time, which we've also talked about, I think it's time for gameplay and release date, because they also confirmed it's coming by the end of the end of this fiscal year. So by March 31st, 2026, this game is supposed to be out. So if they're going to show it, it's time. And I think this is the event they'll do it in, unless like Sony bought marketing rights or something like that. So, I'm hearing rumors about BioShock. Apparently BioShock 4 has been in development for a very long time. There's rumors that there might be a BioShock remake or remaster of some sort of the original game.
Okay. Oh yeah, I did hear about that. Yeah. Yeah, that'd be, I also would not be surprised if we get more about Judas, which is from a new game from the creator of BioShock. But I think it's his, well, I can't remember what studio's doing it, but I think he started his own, if I recall.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Yeah, but that would be really cool. I'd love to hear more about Judas.
And also, so these, I think they've, like, Ubisoft has confirmed that they're remaking more Assassin's Creed games, but the rumor is that it's Black Flag. So Assassin's Creed 4 is getting a remake. I think we're going to see that here, because I think they did say, like, there's a remake coming out this year, but they didn't confirm which one. And, I think based on rumors, Black Flag is the one that has to be out next.
Ah, okay.
And then also, I think this is my big prediction, as I think at Summer Game Fest, one of the big indie games we're going to see there is Playdead's next game. So the team that did Limbo and Inside, it's time for them. They've been working on their new game for a long time, and maybe it's not even close to ready to release yet, but I think we're going to see actual gameplay. I think we're going to see a trailer. It'll be a big moment. I know there's screenshots online from like years ago that they've kind of teased, but I think it's time for Playdead's next game. Outside, or whatever they're going to call it.
It's also time for me to play a game by Playdead.
Yeah, they're very short games. They're very short. I recommend playing both of them. I played Inside first, but I think in terms of like gameplay, like the complication of gameplay and just like the way that the progression of how they evolved as a studio, I would play Limbo first, then Inside.
Yeah.
Lloyd, do you have any predictions for Summer Game Fest?
Yeah, I know last year Monster Hunter Wilds was featured, and I can't decide if Summer Game Fest this year would be the time for it, but I'm wondering if they would release new, every, not quite quarter, Monster Hunter Wilds releases a temporary monster that's available, so I'm wondering if maybe they'll feature like what an upcoming event is, or a limited hunt is. Another thing that I'm sort of, it's not like a fun prediction, but another thing that I'm kind of thinking of we might start seeing is maybe not expecting to see, but I'm going to start playing I Spy with it, if you will, is AI, and seeing AI more.
Yeah.
Last year during the Game Awards, they had, what was the name of that really sad thing?
You're talking about
Was
the
it
cat
was
game,
it the
right?
cat game, right?
Yeah.
Ooh, yeah, that just gave me the the willies. No, thank you.
I don't know if I want to name drop it, but it was an MMO last year. Yeah, okay, it was last year, and very quickly, it was very clockable. You know, even if you went to their website, it was just even the copy that was written for it was just not it. So like with things progressing so quickly, I'm gonna play I Spy with it. Gonna see you know, assets or the promo videos. I think Game Fest or just something I'm not expecting it really for Nintendo or Sony, like not obviously.
Yeah.
I think we have about maybe like one good year left before you know, because it's already, as days, weeks pass just in 2025 alone, just public opinion about AI has been slowly desensitizing a little bit. So I'm going to play I Spy with it. So that's kind of like my boo prediction that I'm going to be keeping an eye out for.
Well, I wish you good luck, because Google's VO3 was just released. I've seen some short films and some tests that people have been doing in that, and it's getting really close. Like, there's still a little bit you can tell, but someone generated basically the kind of video I edit at work, and it looks, aside from like a few like lip sync things and a few tiny details, it's almost like I might be out of a job if they can just generate like product showcase videos, the stuff I make at work.
That's scary.
Yes. Yeah, and I think I might have said it before, but yeah, I'm a big fan of, you know, AI is not going to go away. I'm a big fan of it being used for automation, not generation.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So yeah, yeah, I've seen a few promo videos put out for that, and quite literally, it's all like the main character, like for a better word, the focus of the videos is just like, how can I be an AI prompt? I'm a real person. They keep making me do the same thing over and over again. Free me. And it's like so dystopian. And so like...
Yeah. I've been seeing a lot of videos of people doing job interviews and being interviewed by AI, and then the AI breaking, and I'm like, oh my god. Like, I don't know.
Yeah. Nintendo said they weren't going to use AI for a bit. I think even Nintendo will eventually break down and start using it.
Yeah.
But yeah, anyone trying to do I Spy with AI Spy.
I probably will. Ever since the cat video, I was like, I need to look out for this. Like, I hate that I have to, or I want to, but yeah.
Maybe we'll see more cat. Maybe the cat game will return, and we won't be able to tell that it's AI this time.
we'll know.
Or maybe it'll be even more obvious that it's AI, and that will be the joke.
Yeah.
Or it'll be a free gift to us in the way that we'll know. Like, we know it's AI, so we can use whatever they put out next as like, okay, AI will look like this.
Yeah.
It's the free space on our AI bingo card.
Yes. Compare and contrast to everything else that we're not sure of. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Does anyone else have any last final Summer Game Fest predictions before we move on?
The only one that I want to say, I guess it's a double prediction. I think that, what is it called? Shadow Labyrinth, the gritty Pac-Man. I think that's a pretty sure bet, and this seems like it's a good place to like throw up a trailer, even if it's in sort of that, like, if there's a pre-show, like I know Game Awards has like a, event before the event. Depending on how big they want to make Shadow Labyrinth, I think it would be great for like a here before the commercial break is that weird gritty Pac-Man game. Or like as a, first announcement of the pre-show, I think it would also fit in, that kind of place too, and connected to the Secret Level series. I guess an outlandish prediction would be new Mega Man based off of that little short film.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's been a while for Mega Man. There could be something going on with Mega Man. New game or something. All right. These are all good predictions. I'm just going to quickly list off a couple other shows where some of these predictions could show up. There's the Future Games Show, which happens on Saturday, June 7th at 1 p.m. Pacific, 4 p.m. Eastern, 9 p.m. UK time. And then there's also the PC Gaming Show, which is on Sunday, June 8th at 12 p.m. Pacific, 3 p.m. Eastern, and 8 p.m. UK time. All right. Next up is the Xbox Showcase, which is on Sunday, June 8th at 10 a.m. Pacific, 1 p.m. Eastern, and 6 p.m. UK time. Actually, I don't think I listed when Summer Game Fest is, but Summer Game Fest is this Friday. Did I write it down? I did. Friday, June 6th at 2 p.m. Pacific, 5 p.m. Eastern, and 10 p.m. UK time. That's Summer Game Fest, the one we were just predicting. But yeah, so then there's the Xbox Showcase, which is on the Sunday after that, so 2 days later. Does anyone want to take a stab before I list off what I'm pretty sure is going to be there?
Connect 3.
Oh my god.
Or it's Connect 4, and it's a Connect version of the game where you drop the little coins into the board and you play tic-tac-toe.
Now we're showing our age.
Okay, well, for Xbox, I mean, most of their stuff is announced so far out that I'm pretty sure, unless there's new announcements, I think I know what's going to be there. Like, there's going to be a Fable trailer. We're going to get the release date for Gears of War E-Day, which is supposed to be this fall, I think. It's going to be their first, like, $100, $110 Canadian game. Like, that's where the price is going to jump up, and that's the first game we're going to see with that. Toys for Bob recently bought back their independence from Microsoft. And they famously did I think they did the Spyro remasters or remake, the trilogy, and I think they did Crash 4. And then they did that Crash Bandicoot, like, party game that basically bombed. So anyway, they did buy back their independence, and then they immediately started a collaboration with Xbox to work on a game with an Xbox IP. I'm hoping for Spyro 4, but I have this feeling it's going to be Crash 5, because every time their projects that didn't make it to production leaked or make it to development, it was always something with Crash where Spyro was like a side character. So I don't think their focus is Spyro, unfortunately, even though I'm desperate for Spyro 4 because I love Spyro. I think we're going to see some kind of tease about what it is. I don't think we'll see gameplay. We might not even get a title, but we might see like Crash or Spyro or whatever run onto the screen and be like, now in development. I think Perfect Dark is going to get a trailer. It's time for that. I don't know if there has been a trailer before, but I think, yeah, they're going to say like Perfect Dark 2020, whenever. There'll be a trailer. Blade. Okay, so Lloyd, here's where we've been confused. Yes. We've talked about Blade and Blade Runner on the podcast. There's the vampire hunter / half vampire dude Blade is getting a game. Xbox, I think it's Xbox exclusive the way Spider-Man is PlayStation exclusive. I do think we're going to see a trailer for Blade, not the canceled Blade Runner game here at Xbox. Mm-hmm. Like I said, you said you were never going to live that down. I'm going to, every time on the podcast, even if you're not on it, I'm going to be like, this is the Blade game, not the Blade Runner game.
Just so you know, every time one of them's mentioned, I might just be quiet because I'm not going to know which one it is.
Fair.
If I see them, just like if I see both in a sentence, I'll know. But if I just see one by itself, my brain is just like SpongeBob. You threw out his name. Like,
I said before that there's going to be a Kojima Fest here. I think the Face game you were talking about, maybe that was I know he's doing a game for Xbox, so. They also have a couple projects I know nothing about. They're just like one is called Project Mara, the other one is called Project Maverick. I think we're going to see what those are. We're going to see the title. I don't think we're going to see anything about Rare's game Everwild or whatever it's called. Is that what it's called? Everwild? They've been developing a game for like 10 years.
Oh.
And it hasn't. Every time they reveal it, it's changed. The entire concept. And I don't think we're going to see. Like, I don't think we're going to hear about this. It's probably been canceled if it's not still in development. Hell.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
So I think Mara is the Face game. That sounds familiar.
Oh, okay.
Because I think one of the characters was maybe called or named Mara. And at this point, I hope Rare just makes Banjo 3 and gets it over with, because it's been a while.
Yeah.
I actually think we're going to get Banjo-Kazooie finally. I don't think they're going to have started development at all. It's going to be one of those things where they're like, now in development, like... Right now, they are racing their asses to make a CGI trailer with Banjo and Kazooie where they run out on screen and just say hello, and then they walk away.
And it'll be their classic designs again.
Yeah.
Maybe. I also think
or a third new design.
I also think it's not going to be Banjo 3. I think it's going to be a remake of the original game. Not even a duology remake. It's going to be... They're going to spend the next 5 or 6 years remaking a game that I think Rare developed in the span of a few years.
Yeah.
Back in the day, but heck, maybe even that's what Toys for Bob is working on. I don't know. But actually, I think it's unlikely that Toys for Bob is working on Banjo. But I do think Xbox has actually come out and said, like, we know you want it, but we're not making it. The last year or so, and I think now it's time. They're gonna give fans what they want, and we're not gonna hear about it again until like 2029.
Right.
I think it's time for something new from Halo. I think it's been a while. I think they are working on something Halo related that they've been teasing, but I think like we're going to see it finally because it's been a while for Halo.
Yeah.
If the Persona 4 remake is happening, it's going to be revealed here because Xbox seems to be trying to get into the JRPG space. And every time there's been, I think Metaphor was also initially revealed with Xbox. I think Persona 3, something else Persona was revealed at Xbox as well a couple of years ago. Maybe it was the Persona 3, 4, 5 ports to all consoles was initially announced through Xbox.
Oh, okay.
So whatever Atlas is working on next, Persona 4, Persona 6, whatever it is, it's going to be here.
I'd actually be surprised if they didn't have some announcement related to like DLC or something for Metaphor. Though granted, I actually don't know if they often do like paid DLC for the newer Persona games, just because I haven't played them. But I feel like that'd be an opportunity. Metaphor was really popular when it launched, so.
Well, Persona is famous for, like, Atlas is famous for not doing DLC. They're famous for doing, like, a Game of the Year edition with the new content included, kind of like what Pokemon did back in the day. Okay. However, Atlas came out when Persona 3 Reload came out and said, we're still going to make the, we're still going to make the DLC for Persona 3, and it's going to be DLC, and we're moving away from the Game of the Year versions, like the complete editions.
Right.
So I don't know if which Metaphor is going to get, if it's going to get DLC or if it's going to get an enhanced edition with extra content.
Right.
But it's a good call. I think maybe you're right. Yeah, there could be Metaphor something here. I actually think Metaphor is going to show up somewhere else, but we'll talk about that later. Does anyone else have any other Xbox predictions before we move on to PlayStation? All right. I do expect Lloyd's going to have some PlayStation stuff to talk about, hopefully, because he's a PlayStation kid. Yeah, Lloyd, do you want to start PlayStation stuff? Actually, do you want to take it away? I've been talking a lot. I feel like listeners are probably like, shut the fuck up, Zoe. So
yeah, no trouble. Yeah, Xbox, whatever ends up on PC Game Pass, I'll play. So that's about my extent of Xbox experience and feelings. But yeah, PlayStation, again, state of play is unconfirmed. It might not even be a state of play. I was seeing some, back and forth about exactly what type of PlayStation event it might be, but the maths, it lines up. We're kind of expecting something. So one of the things that I'm expecting is I don't know how realistic it is to get more information on it, considering the game just got what's the word? There's a word for it. Y'all can help me. But revealed, that might be the word. In February, it's Saros from House Marquee, and
I actually have good news for you about that. They said there would be more information later this year in that initial presentation, or like in a tweet afterwards. So I don't know if it'll be here, but we're going to hear about Saros this year.
You heard it. It's going to be here. No. 50% of the time, right? Sorry, we got to commit.
Yeah.
Everything we're predicting now is like just actually a leak. We have insider information from all the indie developers we've been talking to.
Absolutely. But yeah, so Saros, I'm hoping for a gameplay trailer that is like getting real greedy with it. But more a release date if I'm wishing for things, because the video we have so far is just it's like just the concept. Let's see what I'm going to start with. I am going to read from the PlayStation blog real quick, just in case folks have no idea what's going on with Saros. It's an action game with the haunting story of a lost off-world colony on Carcosa under an ominous eclipse. You play as Arjun Devaraj. Apologies if I mispronounced that. A powerful Soltari enforcer who will stop at nothing to find who he's looking for. Our goal is to create an emotional and powerful character study that explores the cost it takes to create a new future. Awesome. I don't know much about anything based off of that, but I have vibes.
Nice.
It's the team that made Returnal,
awesome.
Right? Yes, absolutely.
Yes.
Yeah.
I was just typing in, like, I was like, Saros, like, that sounds familiar, and I look it up and I can see bits of the trailer and I'm like, oh, that's the game that Rahul Kohli's playing the main guy.
Yes!
Nice. So that's really exciting. I love Rahul. He's great.
Yes, and I'm so glad you mentioned that, because yes, for anyone who's like, what's that name? That might be familiar. If you've seen Midnight Mass, insert your favorite Rahul media here, but Midnight Mass is my biggest one with him, and he played the sheriff. So
nice. Yeah, I really liked him in Bly Manor. He was really, really good.
Ooh, that's on my to be watched.
Yeah, anything Mike Flanagan, he does good stuff.
So Returnal. Yes. Coming off of Returnal, the studio wanted to create something special and award-winning, but wanted Returnal to stand on its own. Saros is completely separate property that they say evolves our deep third-person action and mysterious storytelling. Again, don't know what that means. Love it. Vibes are there. I'm here for vibes. And my thoughts on just like on the after the announcement trailer, it's gorgeous. I remember it kind of evoked similar emotions that I had seeing the Death Stranding announcement video way back. Of course, that was long before, love it or hate it, your opinions on a delivery service walking simulator. But back to Saros, the mood, the imagery, the desperation, it's all there. And of course, I see that he has a really cool gun. So it's like, is this going to be like
nice
a shooter? Like what's going on? Very little is given away onto what is happening outside of the cyclical world death and rebirth that is used. I'm assuming it's tied to reoccurring eclipses. I didn't play Returnal, but I've seen a lot of gameplay for it, and it's just basing my thoughts on Saros off of, they kept referencing Returnal. So kind of just going off of what we've got with Returnal. Each run or loop is a unique map wrapped in a sci-fi first-person shooter package. These are my words, not from the blog. Saros World adopts similar roguelike elements with a twist, and they've also mentioned every death faces a changed world. But the difference is in Saros, you can permanently upgrade certain things. So either your gear or suite upgrades. So it sounds like there's a little bit more to between each run, which would be kind of cool.
Right. So it's like a roguelite as opposed to a roguelike, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. But and just my last thought on Saros is very specifically they mentioned something about that pushes the PS5 console hardware. I'm not sure what's
all right.
Yeah, right. I think the last time I saw something that really mentioned that, or it just kind of reminds me of when the DualSense first had that directionality to it that you could like lean it, and a few games were really like leaning into that. So I don't know what that means. I don't know if that means there's going to be a question about if it performs well, or what in the world they mean by that. But I am pretty pumped about that for PlayStation.
Nice.
Well, of all the games that do really push the PS5 to its limits in terms of like doing new things with the hardware, Ratchet and Clank had the portal jumping where you could go through worlds really quickly. Like it would load multiple locations very, very fast through the portals. Spider-Man 2 had instant, like if you wanted to fast travel across the city, it instantly loaded to another part of the city. There was no load times. Like you just like, there was like a transition of Spider-Man swinging and then suddenly you were in the other part of the city, all right into the gameplay. And then of course Astrobot like uses the DualSense, both the demo version, the Astro's Playroom, and also the Astrobot, which came out last year, like the full AAA version of Astrobot. Like they both, use the DualSense in a very, very unique and interesting way. So hopefully, Saros can do something that's like in the same idea as those games where they, draw out the console's abilities and power, but maybe something a little bit different, that's not like portal jumping or really fast load times or DualSense stuff, or maybe a mix of all those things. I don't know. Or maybe it's just like really, really pretty. We do know a few things about PlayStation this year. So we know that Ghost of Yotei is coming on October 2nd. I'm sure that there's going to be a trailer there. There might even be a trailer at Summer Game Fest. We know that Erika Ishii, they are gender fluid. They are the star of the game. So even if the content of the game is not queer, there is a queer actor front and center mocapping. Their face is it's not just like mocapping, like their face is in the game. So this is like one of my most anticipated games of the fall. That's queer content. That's AAA content. More so than Borderlands 4. We know that Intergalactic: The Heretic Prophet, which is Naughty Dog's new game set in space, is coming at some point. I don't think it's going to be coming this year. I do think there's going to be more to say about it this year. Maybe we'll get a release year, but I don't think we're going to get it's coming this November. Look out for it. It's not, I don't think it's even coming out next year. If we're lucky, maybe next year. We know that Wolverine is in development, which is from the people that made Spider-Man. I'm blanking on the name, but they also make Ratchet. Insomniac is making Wolverine.
Right.
You mentioned Saros. We know there's another unknown Naughty Dog game in development. Maybe they tease that, but again, I don't think that's coming for even years after Intergalactic is coming out.
Yeah.
We know that there are a couple of multiplayer games in the works. One of them might be a little turbulent, which is Marathon. We also know that Fair Games is coming, and the S in Fair Games is a $. I still don't know what that name is supposed to mean. If that's a code name, if that's like an actual name we're supposed to take seriously. It just looks like we're making a multiplayer game and we want it to make money, so we're calling it Fair Games. I don't get it.
Yeah.
And Death Stranding 2, I think, comes out in July at some point. I should look up the date for that, but I do think it's coming out very soon. As for what I'm hoping for, and if anyone at any point wants to cut me off and jump in for predictions on PlayStation, please feel free. I don't know if that thumbs up is agreeing or
I will jump in after you.
Okay, perfect. I'll go quickly then. I'm hoping that there was a teaser for a bunch of upcoming PlayStation games a few years ago, an actual made for TV advertisement, and in it there is one very quick shot of a girl with a torch in a cave that looks like an Uncharted game. It looks like it's Nathan Drake's daughter. I hope that is a real game and it wasn't live action footage that was graded to look kind of like a video game, because I do hope that another studio is working on a new Uncharted. I don't want to see that franchise end just because one character's story is over. I think there's lots to do in that storyline, that world. I just like Uncharted, so I hope there's new Uncharted something or other from another Sony studio. We know that there's rumors of the Resident Evil 0 remake. There's Resident Evil Code Veronica remake that's being rumored. We know that Resident Evil 9 has to be coming at some point. So I think we're going to hear about all or one of these at some point during this showcase, and I'm very excited for it. And I'm hoping for literally anything new that's single player, either first party or third party for the PlayStation. I also hope that we're going to see the Final Fantasy IX remake that's been rumored. I hope that they're finally going to bring the Final Fantasy XIII trilogy to modern consoles, so it's not stuck through backwards compatibility or through very poor performance, not por favor, although I am begging for it, through PC. And I do think that there's going to be, or hopefully that there will be, a Final Fantasy VII Remake Part 3 teaser, and maybe a release year announcement.
Mm-hmm.
All right, Akemi, go.
Cool. I just have a few that I'm kind of hoping for. The first is I think we're going to get probably a cinematic trailer and maybe a year of release for the next God of War game. I say that partially because I just bought Ragnarok, so I want to play it. That's what's on my mind. But I remember, they're at the end of Ragnarok.
Oh, you just reminded me.
Oh, sorry, what?
Sorry, no, I was just gonna say, I don't know about God of War, but Cory Barlog, who made the first God of War reboot, he is working on a sci-fi game, and that might be here.
Ooh, that'd be cool.
But anyway, sorry.
I was just going to say I because I haven't played Ragnarok, they might actually do something similar that what they did at the end of the first new God of War game, where they had kind of like a trailer for the next game at the end of it. So they might do that in Ragnarok as well. But if they have not, or if they wanted to show more, I think a cinematic trailer with maybe a year or something like that wouldn't be amiss. And then the other thing I would probably like to, or that I'm hoping to see would be, again, probably another cinematic trailer, maybe a release year for the next Horizon game. And I need to finish the second one, but I really enjoy those games, and I feel like they always are really popular when they release. So, yeah, I think that'd be fun to release.
I'm hoping for just a Kingdom Hearts trailer that Darth Vader and Spider-Man show up. I'll take one of the two of them, but I think when there is a new Kingdom Hearts trailer, Darth Vader or Spider-Man will show up, and people will clap, and that will be fun.
And then Darth Vader is much more likely.
And then they'll release a not even a year, they'll release a quarter, like Q5 sometime. Like they don't
not even quarter, they'll release a quarter of the decade. In the next 10 years, you'll get this game.
Second half of the 2040s.
You just give me a glimpse into the future where one of the Kingdom Hearts games is just going to have every single IP in it. Like, just
yeah, really. Yeah.
I was thinking about that because I was like, okay, what? Like, aside from Star Wars and Marvel, now that they own Fox, that opens things up. But I can't see them doing. Yeah, Alien was what came to mind, and also The Simpsons. I think RoboCop is.
I would die. RoboCop.
But the problem with all of these is that I don't think Kingdom Hearts is going to do an exclusively adult franchise.
No. Yeah.
Even if they own them, even though I think they sold Alien and RoboCop toys for kids, but I think they are going to stick with their family directed franchises if they decide to expand Kingdom Hearts at all, which I think would be wise. With Star Wars, you even have a Princess Leia, right? I don't think there's as an iconic princess in Marvel, aside from Power Princess or whatever, the Marvel Wonder Woman literal ripoff, on purpose. That's not a dark side Thanos situation. Anyways. But yeah, that would be nice.
Simpsons Hit and Run remake featuring Sora from the Kingdom Hearts series. On the box art, it says literally that.
Using the Dante sticker style would be great.
Oh yeah.
And Sora's gotta have his big open mouth laugh too. Yeah.
Oh yeah. He's gonna be driving his the gummy ship whereas Homer comes in as Mr. Plow on the snowplow machine and just sings the song.
Though I see the whole trailer happening, and you think it's just a Simpsons game, and at the end there's a donut on the table or something, like the Simpsons pink donut, and someone picks it up and it's just Sora.
No matter what though, for fun, he would probably just be like, fuck it, why not?
That's like a Sakurai trailer, more than a Kingdom Hearts trailer.
That's fair. But then they'll have it as a clip in another game, and then that'll get explained in the 10 more games later for Kingdom Hearts. Now that I've played all the current games that have existed that I can play, I had to skip a few because they're not accessible anymore. I now know. I understand the confusion and the being a Kingdom Hearts fan. My partner is a massive Kingdom Hearts fan. He could probably, if you ask him anything with Kingdom Hearts, he will just go through the entire timeline and try to make it make sense. He's done it with me. I kind of get it, but at the same time, I'm Nomura is just, his mind is elsewhere. He's on another plane of existence, as far as I'm concerned.
Can you ask your partner when The Simpsons takes place on the Kingdom Hearts timeline? Which episodes of The Simpsons should I watch in what order to understand Kingdom Hearts 2?
I will.
Well, I don't think we'll know until the first appearance of The Simpsons happens, because then we can establish how the time would progress.
Well, the sliding timescale of The Simpsons really makes it kind of hard to predict, you know?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. Does anyone else have any more PlayStation before we move on to Nintendo? All right, so super quick, I'll just remind everyone that the PlayStation State of Play is not confirmed. It could be a showcase, as Lloyd was saying, that it might not be a State of Play. I do think that Sony they've canceled so many multiplayer games behind the scenes the last few years that I don't think they have much this generation. And if they do a showcase, it'll be disappointing like the last one was, where it's all third-party stuff. It should have been a State of Play that they turned into something longer to keep fans happy. If it was a showcase where they just actually I'm trying to say something not sexual, like blow their load and actually show everything that they have that they're working on. Anyway.
If they need a multiplayer game, they should just make Ape Escape Battle Royale.
But that would be fun, and Sony,
they're against fun now, right?
What was it? Concord 2? Electric Boogaloo is what they're working on?
Oh, no.
All right, let's move to Nintendo. I think everyone is waiting for the Nintendo stuff, because I know I consume Nintendo Direct predictions for breakfast on a daily basis. So, yeah. Does anyone want to start, or does anyone want me to kind of I have a whole bunch of predictions for this, so I can list them. But if anyone wants to start first, I would love them to go first.
I could probably list a few that I'm hoping for, because I actually don't have that many. But the general hope is that we get some kind of trailer, cinematic, something or other for the next Monolith Soft game. It's not going to be a Xenoblade game, but it might be a a new series, something else. Or it might just be a new IP from them. Anything Monolith Soft, I will consume. And the other one, which is
Xeno Trebuchet.
Yeah, really. And the other one that is so pie in the sky, but I would lose my mind if it actually ever happened. I want Ghost Trick 2 so bad. I will die if we get a trailer. It's that game is it's already an old game. It's got a remake, a couple years ago, which was great, which I was hoping maybe that'll drum up some interest. But if they actually ever sit down and were hey, we're making a second game, I will fall out of my chair. So those are my two.
Amy Lynn, I know you have stuff.
I have too many stuff. I feel that a really boring one that I do feel I want to mention is just the Switch 2 upgrade announced for Rhythm Heaven. But I think they're gonna do something cool and have it be free. I know that sounds unlike Nintendo, but I think that the Switch 2 related stuff, mouse rhythm games and stuff, will be so minor that they won't be able to charge a $10 upgrade fee. But, with all the complaints about pricing, I think that will be a cool win and might also encourage purchases of Rhythm Heaven for the first time ever. The other...
sell 5 copies instead of 3.
That would be nice. I remember when I bought the Wii version, I checked the Best Buy website and confirmed that Best Buy had a copy of it or had copies. And the poor Best Buy staff had no idea what I was talking about. And from the length of time that I sent this person into the back rooms of Best Buy, I feel that they had to call the truck to return the shipments of Rhythm Heaven that they knew that they weren't going to sell or something. It was a 10-minute search. Anyways. So Rhythm Heaven is my main boring prediction. I think we're going to get all the kind of obvious stuff. But then, on May 28th, 2015, Nintendo released a bold new franchise featuring appealing character designs, an imaginative setting, and fun new gameplay centered around ink splattering and turf wars. Splatoon has since gone on to be one of Nintendo's best-selling, best-received, and most loved new franchises, with 2 sequels and lots of merchandise. I wrote that as a cool script for Splatoon, shilling, I guess.
That's right. It sounds like Nintendo written copy. That's good.
I think that Splatoon 4 will probably get a tease. I don't think it will be coming as soon as Splatoon 2 did, but I think it's also not going to be too long. I think it's too much of a moneymaker and probably too easy, and I use heavy air quotes on easy, to develop, just in the sense that they can make a semi bare bones game and release DLC and add content later, versus, they have a semi shared team with Animal Crossing, that requires more consistent energy and a lot of asset creation and stuff. So yeah, I think Splatoon 4 is a hope, dream, and it's the closest crossover to something that will be likely, aside from, again, Kirby Air Riders and, stuff like that.
Yeah, Nintendo has a lot of stuff that they've, announced for this year, or at least for, this, coming very soon. And there's no release dates for it. Now that GTA 6 is out of the way for the fall, I think Nintendo's going to date all those games they announced in the Switch 2 reveal direct. So Kirby Air Riders, Metroid Prime 4. We just got the Pokemon release date. What else is coming? Dragon Drive. There's one more game. Is it just Hyrule Warriors?
Oh, yeah.
I forget anything. So I think that's... And I think they're going to announce another big game for the fall, especially something that'll come out late October, like a 3D Mario.
Welcome to our 2. Quickest turnaround of a sequel ever.
I hope Tomodachi Life gets an update, and I hope they will confirm in the direct, much to the ire of people who've never played video games, that game marriage will be possible in Tomodachi Life. Like they promised 10 years ago when the last one didn't have it. And they said, well, we can't go back and add it now, but next time, guys, for sure. It's next time now, and we want our for sure, Nintendo. I am going to jump into mine, though, but I realized I've cut Lloyd off, so I just want to make sure Lloyd doesn't have any predictions first before I...
No, I was scratching my head, but no, for this time for sure, we remembered. We don't get a lot, but we remembered.
I think I would like to see if this rumored Ocarina of Time remake that Brian Shea has been teasing, that he said he got kind of a wink and a nod from Eiji Onuma when he interviewed him. I think, if it's coming, I think they'll announce it and it'll be coming a year from now, next summer. I think, and I hope anyway, now that Monster Hunter Wilds is out, usually when there's a big Monster Hunter game, the last couple times, when they did Monster Hunter World, and Rise, there was a Monster Hunter Stories game that came along with it, which is the Pokemon version of Monster Hunter, where instead of killing the monsters, which I can't stand, you befriend the monsters and they fight alongside you like Pokemon. So I hope Monster Hunter Stories 3 is on the way, because I need more of those games. I think there's going to be a bunch. I think all the Switch 2 ports we didn't hear about that we've been thinking are coming are going to be dropped in this, because I think the fact that Nintendo sent out dev kits late, a lot of games have not been able to studios haven't been able to get stuff ready for launch. And also with the barrage of games that are coming out at launch in the launch window, maybe they want to kind of space it out. So I think we're going to get Baldur's Gate 3, Metaphor, or Persona 3 Reload, GTA 5 or Red Dead Redemption 2, and that'll come along with the next-gen patch for PS5 that everyone has been clamoring for Red Dead Redemption 2. Resident Evil 4 Remake is coming to Switch 2. Assassin's Creed Shadows, Mass Effect Legendary Collection, Alan Wake 2, Silent Hill 2, Dead Space Remake, Devil May Cry 5, Lost Records Bloom and Rage, and Clair Obscur Expedition 33. All of those games are going to be announced in a sizzle reel of here's all the cool stuff coming to Nintendo Switch 2 this fall. And these are the games that people are waiting on. I'm finally going to play Baldur's Gate 3. I will pay full price for that if I get to have it on Switch in a physical copy, especially if it's not a game key card. I think we're going to get some Nintendo Switch 2 editions. Not that many, but paid upgrades with DLC and like very snazzy visual enhancements. I think Super Mario Bros. Wonder is suspiciously absent from all the discourse about Nintendo's marketing for the Switch 2. They've included screenshots of it and stuff like that, just to say like, hey, it's backwards compatible, but they haven't said like, hey, this game is getting an upgrade. And given that they even gave Legend of Zelda Echoes of Wisdom an upgrade, I think Super Mario Wonder is like ripe for some DLC exclusive to Switch 2. I think Pikmin 4 is the only other game that's going to get a Switch 2 upgrade. Everything else is going to be a free upgrade. Like I think like Thousand Year Door, Paper Mario, that's going to get like a free frame rate patch for Switch 2, so it finally has 60 FPS so people can stop their fucking bitching. I think the indies that are going to get announced, the only two I could think of that people really want are UFO 50 and Blueprints, but I do think those are going to be coming. They've more or less been hinted at, especially in UFO 50's case. We're finally going to get the Xbox ports. It will not be in the Xbox showcase, but Microsoft is going to show up. There's going to be like a whole 10-minute segment being like, Microsoft, we're blowing the doors off first-party games. We're going third-party. All the stuff we promised coming to Nintendo in the court cases is coming. Indiana Jones, Sea of Thieves, Forza, Oblivion, Doom the Dark Ages, Halo, the Master Chief Collection is going to be the big like the big, like, mind-blowing moment. Like, here's Master Chief, he's coming. And I'm sure that when Smash Bros. Whatever is announced, Halo, Master Chief is going to be the big, mind-blowing character being added. Gears of War Reloaded will also come day and date with the Xbox and PlayStation versions. And finally, they're going to show off the Call of Duty is going to get revealed in the Summer Game Fest. I think I excluded that from my predictions, but we're also going to see that this year's Call of Duty game is going to be coming to Switch 2, and that'll be like right before Master Chief Collection's one more thing. That'll be like, they're going to spend 5 minutes on COD on Switch 2 because they are legally required as part of their contract with the FCC, their deal, that they have to have COD for the next 10 years on Nintendo Switch. And this is like going to be the first time we see that. And those are my predictions.
Ooh.
Thank you for coming to my TED Talk.
Very nice.
Just in case it's
You forgot Professor Layton.
Oh yeah, I did.
Yeah.
So did you.
Yeah, that's true.
I was thinking about that one.
That was the puzzle. I didn't solve it fast enough.
It's just Leighton with his hat downturned, be like, "Oh dear." That would be really nice to see. I imagine we'll probably get. Do we have a date for that game? Like release? I don't think so, right? Maybe a year.
We have promo art.
That's good.
Isn't some of it AI promo art too? For everything that Level 5 is doing is like heavily AI.
Oh, I didn't know about that.
I know the Yokai Watch game coming was entirely, all the promo art was AI generated.
Oh, no.
The teaser images they sent out.
another stamp on the bingo card.
They've made statements too about how like we like AI.
Oh,
Actually,
really?
I covered a news article saying like they think every dev is using it now, which says more about them, I think, than it does about other devs.
Yeah. Huh.
All right, last call for Nintendo Direct predictions before we move on to all the queer games we think are going to show up through the various presentations. All right, the Nintendo Direct is not confirmed, but I do think it won't be this week. I don't think they're going to drop this Nintendo Direct around like at launch this week, but I think the week after there will definitely be a Nintendo Direct. You know, like they'll be like, hey, the Nintendo Switch 2 has been out for a week. We hope you're enjoying the games. Here's everything you're playing this fall. Okay, so queer games. We've been talking about a lot of queer games that are either due this year or coming soon, or, you know, updates we could expect from queer games. So, like, in the podcast, over the last few months, we've been talking about Quantum Witch, we've been talking about Love of the Milky Way Diner, Coffee Talk Tokyo, Usual June, Building Relationships, Unbeatable, Wander Stars, Misc, A Tiny Tale, Spill the Beans, Dead Finger Dice, A Billionaire Killing Game, which is from Rocket Adrift, Paper Trails, A Scrapbooking Story, A Pizza Delivery, Altered Alma, Fishbowl, Neverway, and Seasonal Cemetery. So I'm going to open it up. I just wanted to like mention these games' names because I think I hope or think like in some cases I hope, in other cases I think we're going to see more about these games. In some cases we've already seen stuff like Coffee Talk Tokyo and Misc, A Tiny Tale. I wrote this list before all these reveals this week, but yeah. Who wants to start? And this can also be like not just queer indie games, but just indie games in general too, of course.
Mm-hmm. I could probably go if we wanted to, if that sounds cool. Yeah, so I thought, it might be nice to, cause we've talked about just a lot of really cool games, on the podcast lately, but there are a number of games that, I would love to see, that are, queer indie games that I don't think I've really mentioned on the podcast, but some of them seem really cool and, would be nice to see either trailers or demos. So I was thinking, there's a couple There's 2 visual novels, actually maybe 3 visual novels I was thinking. So the first game that I wanted to highlight is called Call Me Under. That's from Lunaris Games. I believe part of the the studio, like some of the devs there are queer, but it is also just a game with queer romance options. And that whole thing, the whole game, like as a summary, and I'll read it from Steam, for those who don't know, is that, it goes, dive into the 1950s and explore an underwater world soaked in dark magic, eldritch mysteries, and romance. Investigate the sudden disappearances plaguing Styx, the city where you are, and uncover the truth behind the vicious power struggle between 2 ancient forces. It's very, like, Lovecraftian, it's noir, detective stuff, it seems really cool, everybody's hot, and, yeah, it just seems really neat.
What was the title again?
Call Me Under. Call Me Under, yes. It's just, right now it's just listed as coming soon, so it'd be nice to get a release date. There is a demo you can try. I haven't tried it yet, but I already know I want to play this game, so, at some point I'll play the demo. Yeah, but I think that'd be fun. The second visual novel I think it'd be really cool to, maybe get just another trailer on, just more coverage, because I haven't really seen this game covered very much. I saw it maybe on Keymailer when I was looking into are there any games that are you can request keys and as a content creator and see if they would, want to give them out. And I saw this one and I was like, oh, this seems cool. So it's called Comet Angel. Comet Angel is and again, I'm reading from Steam. It's a sci-fi Yuri narrative adventure with point-and-click puzzles. You join teenagers Izzy and Nat on an emotional journey of self-discovery and acceptance as they make humanity's first ever alien contact. It's very
I see everyone typing down names and Google searching as we go through this too.
Yeah, it's really cool. It's so the dev is called Cross Couloir. Yeah, it just seems really fun and cute. It is set to come out in October of this year, but as I said, I think it'd be really cool just to see coverage of it, maybe a new trailer or something. It feels, from the trailer, it feels very almost like it's in the 90s, and it's these 2 friends are out in the marsh, just hanging out or whatever, and then they come across this cute little alien. He kind of looks like an aquatic alien, like a snake kind of thing, but he's really small and cute. And then love blossoms, I'm sure. And anyway, it looks and sounds really cute. And then another.
Sorry, one more time. Just remind me of the name of that.
Oh, no worries. Yeah, I'll repeat it. So that game's called Comet Angel.
Comet Angel. Thank you.
The third one I wanted to talk about is a visual novel called Killing Boys. This is from the developer.
Some title, that's for sure.
I can say so.
Lloyd is backing away slowly.
It's from the developer First Bite.
Oh.
Do you know this one?
Yeah.
Yeah, it seems really cool. So the summary on Steam is you play as Eve, and that's capitalized EVE, an immortal assassin cursed with the kiss of death as she turns on her literal evil corporate overlords in an attempt to break free of her ironclad contract in this LGBTQ plus dark comedy supernatural visual novel. It looks really fun. The art is gorgeous. Oh my god. I'm looking forward to this. There's no demo. The release date is to be announced. So any information, I think a demo would be cool to maybe announce, for, at the various, indie showcases.
Maybe Steam Next Fest.
Yeah, maybe. That'd be really cool. I'd really like that for sure. And there's actually another visual novel I forgot about, but this one I'm really, really hoping for. Oh, and I'll repeat the other one. The last game that I said explained is, called Killing Boys by First Bite. I guess now 4th visual novel that I'm yeah, I really hope this shows up is, it's called Mikiwam Solar Punk Herbalism. It's an indigiqueer game, so made by, queer indigenous individuals. I believe they're Cree. And the summary on Steam is it's a cozy tea-making game set in a post-colonial fantasy world. As an herbalist's apprentice, you serve magical elemental teas to influence a colorful cast of characters. Connect with your estranged home, discover your gifts, and find your place in a fractured healing world. I actually played the demo for this on Itch.io. This would have been like a year or two ago. And I should say the developers, Studio Ecosi. It was really cute. I quite liked the demo. There is like I believe, if I remember right, there are queer romance options. It's just really, it felt really wholesome. Like, a little bit like, you're making tea. It's that kind of like nice little bit of coffee talk vibes, a little bit of, Valhalla, bartender action vibes. But it's this really nice indigenous perspective and take on it. And it's just really, it's just really, I felt really good and really just nice playing it. It's just listed as coming soon. There is a demo available. I think because I played this maybe a year ago. I don't know how soon coming soon is. So like maybe we might see another, like an updated demo or something. I think that'd be really cool. So that game again is called Mikiwam Solarpunk Herbalism. I think I will quickly maybe go through. Let's do one more. So another one that that I've been following, but I haven't really heard too much news about is called Nova Hearts. This game is developed by Lightbulb Crew. And this game, I'll just read the summary. A mysterious force of power transforms you and other highly attractive people in your area into superheroes and villains. Text, date, and fight your friends and enemies alike. If you like magical girl / like superhero shows, like Saturday morning cartoons kind of vibe, as an RPG, this is kind of the vibe. From the trailer, I don't know for sure, but I think one of the characters that you can romance is non-binary, which would be really cool because they have they them pronouns. And then you can it's player sexual, I believe. But it is it's not a it's not like your character is a faceless person. Like you do play as like the main character and she has a design and everything, but she is basically you can romance anyone, which is really nice. And yeah, it just seemed really fun. There is a demo. I have to play it still, but it looks really good. And the date is just, right now it's just coming soon. So I think it'd be cool if we got a reveal about the date, for this game. And yeah, again, that one's called Nova Hearts. And yeah, I'm realizing most of these are visual novels, but I have a soft spot for a lot of those. So, yeah, those are the ones I'm looking forward to.
I'm just going to jump back in super quick to mention that I did not literally did not scroll down on my list, and there are two other games that we've talked about in the podcast that I want to hear updates from. I know one of them is going to get updates, but the other games are Battlesuit Aces and Quality Dreams Reasonably Priced. And
yes.
I'm glad I highlighted Quality Dreams Reasonably Priced because there is going to be a Steam Next Fest demo. So even though there's already a demo on Steam currently, there will be an updated demo, I think, with additional content and obviously additional features.
Yes.
There might be more, but I actually absolutely love them. The devs heard that I played the game and they sent me an email. They're like so nice. But they said like the January. It's June. The June 1st update, or an update that they just did, is going to have updated sprites and updated a couple other things. So I don't know if that's the one you're referencing, but there might already be more content in the demo.
I think there's gonna, so they updated, I think I remember what you're saying, I think I got an email about that too, and they were saying they have updated the art and the sprites. I have helped out a little bit with some of the testing for the demo that's going to be for the June Next Fest, so there is going to be new stuff on top of that. Nice. I can confirm that. Yeah.
They're also going to be back on, or at least Zorky and Delian is going to be back on the podcast closer to launch to talk about the game.
Awesome.
they've both been, everyone at Zorky Studios. It's a 2-person team. They've been super sweet. I got a DM from Nez, I think is their name.
Yeah,
is her
me
name.
too. Yeah. Oh my god.
She was just very sweet, and she didn't want to be on the podcast, which is totally cool. But she was like, "Thanks for like promoting it." The episode where we interviewed Endelian was, I think, episode 28. So definitely go back and take a listen to that, listeners, if you haven't already, because it's an amazing interview. And the demo's unfinished, but like the demo, like, in my opinion, aside from like one missing feature, I felt very like not complete as a content complete game, but like it felt complete in terms of like I didn't see any cracks or like development issues. I was like, this feels like a complete like experience that's like a part of a bigger like experience anyway. So it's what I'm very excited about for this year. It's supposed to be coming, I think, in the fall, but there's no confirmed date, and that's because Zorky Studios does not know when it will be done, but it will be done sometime this fall.
Yeah.
But when you mentioned killing boys, I was already trying to catch up, Ekami, with the first game you'd mentioned, because you'd mentioned, and everybody's hot, and I was like, of course they are. I saw it was what was before it? It was Call Me Under, and I was like, oh, absolutely,
yes,
sick, perfect.
Yeah.
And then when I was thinking that, I was like, in my head, I was like, another game that I remember everyone being hot and almost intimidatingly was First Bite. I
want to play that.
And then when you got to Killing Boys and I scrolled down just a little bit, I saw First Bite and I was like, oh, that's them.
Nice.
Before we move on to like our one big like hopes, or I just want to end with like our big hopes and like out there dreams, pie in the sky for any showcase. Does anyone have any other queer indie games they want to highlight or talk about?
I think that this isn't, I guess, queer explicitly, although, fandom-wise, definitely. But I think it's very likely we'll see mascot horror get representation. So this is like the in-between AAA and indie space of the Five Nights at Freddy's, Poppy's Playtime, Ban, that kind of thing. I'm pretty sure that at least one of the big players will get a relatively big spotlight at some showcase. My hopes for the indie scene is, of course, Switch and Switch 2 ports, which are not always a sure thing, and I'm sure quite difficult compared to PC development in some cases. But that's, I think, my main hope on the indie scene. Although I would always love to see a crossover that isn't just Among Us being served drinks, or maybe you're serving Among Us as drinks. I'm not sure how that recent crossover is working, but I would like a non-Smash Bros. Crossover where we get, the characters of games like Celeste, Shovel Knight, blanking on other indie games now, whatever the protagonist of Spiritfarer is. But like all these characters, like in either a narrative or maybe like a cozy game. I think back to the days when there was that weird Homestar Runner Sam and Max Penny Arcade crossover, which was like a poker simulator. I'd like something quirky that does sort of celebrate the sort of indie darlings and stars in some way.
No, that sounds cool, actually. There are definitely lots of like, I think there's already a couple games like that have like a few guest characters like Shovel Knight, that are like I think Brawlhalla, maybe one of those games that's like a Smash clone, like indie, has a few crossover characters.
Yeah, I want something not Smash clone though.
Okay, I see. Yeah, I think that would be super cool. I think there's lots of like indie characters that definitely deserve a spotlight in a crossover game of some sort. Obviously, it's just a licensing battle at that point, but definitely cool. This might be impossible, but it'd be cool to have like a queer crossover. I don't know if it would ever happen. Maybe if True Avatars ever becomes a development studio, we can do that. Okay, so we're gonna jump into like our one final like what do we really want out of like everything. It doesn't have to be queer. It can just be like your pie in the sky. Like I hope they announce Metroid Prime 17 today, kind of thing. But first, I just want to highlight again when these these more indie-focused directs are playing. So there's the Women-Led Games Summer Game Fest presentation. Saturday, June 7th at 10 a.m. Pacific, 1 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. UK time. There's Day of the Devs. It's right after Summer Game Fest finishes. It's Friday, June 6th at 4 p.m. Pacific, 7 p.m. Eastern, and 12 a.m. UK time. Sorry, UK. That's going to be super late for you. There's also the Wholesome Direct, which is on Saturday, June 7th, 9 a.m. Pacific, 12 p.m. Eastern, and 5 p.m. UK time. And then finally, there's Steam Next Fest. And that is happening from June. It's not a presentation. It's just like a festival of sorts, a digital festival where you can go play demos. Lots of games are being highlighted. There's, sometimes there's discounts on some of these games that are recently released. And that takes place from June 9th to 16th. And I think that starts at I think it always goes from 1 p.m. Eastern to 1 p.m. Eastern, like the following week. Like it's always, Steam's change, the time changeover is always like around 1 p.m. Eastern. I'm not sure. I guess that would mean 10 a.m. Pacific. And then I guess 5 p.m. UK time. No, 6 p.m. UK time for a changeover. I think it always starts at the same time for sales and stuff, so. Okay, we're coming up on the end of the show. So everyone, I need to hear your one big pie in the sky dream. Announce it, please, game. Amy Lynn, go.
On May 28th, 2015, Nintendo released a bold new franchise featuring appealing character designs and an imaginative setting and a fun new gameplay centered around ink splattering and turf wars. Splatoon has since gone on to be one of Nintendo's best-selling, best received and most loved new franchises with 2 sequels and lots of merchandise. I want a spin-off of Splatoon. And this is why it is pie in the sky, because Splatoon is so big on the multiplayer scene that I don't think Nintendo is going to let them. But I want a weird, like, music game visual novel crossover where you get to play as all the different in-universe bands, which will cover different music genres. I want a single player adventure game. I just want a Splatoon spin-off. Even if it's something like really simple and like downloadable and, I just want, there's such a cool world with Splatoon and they do a decent job exploring it in the games, but, I want something immersive and fun with that. So yeah, that's why it's a repeat of my Nintendo script and repeating of Splatoon, because I don't think it's ever going to happen, at least as a standalone product. I can dream for better single player content in the main series, but we'll see.
Ekami, go.
My pie in the sky hope is that we get a really nice remake, specifically of the snowboarding game SSX3. That's all I want in my life. I mean, if we get a new SSX game, phenomenal. I just want those games back in my life. They were really fun, and I'm pretty sure they died many years ago at this point. But 3 is my favorite. I don't know if many other people who like the SSX games would agree with it, but I'm right, everyone's wrong. Anyway.
I mean, Tony Hawk came back. They're doing Pro Skater 3 and 4, so there's definitely a possibility that like someone will think there's money to be poured into SSX Tricky. All right, Lloyd, go.
I want a very dramatic zero information. It's a very cloudy, very not... You kind of get a silhouette of something. Hint at next-gen consoles. It doesn't have to be the right shape. It can just be like a bunch of random, ridges and things, and you're like, I don't even know what this is. Is this it? And that's what I want. I don't care.
It's like levitating.
You're like, is that ribbed? What's going on? Like, what is? That's what I want. That's what I want. I don't care if it's
Switch 3.
I don't care if it's PlayStation. I don't care if it's Xbox. That's what I want.
All right. I think there's a chance they could definitely tease that this year, although my bet would be next year, but definitely. All right. Mine is just going to be super quick. I've been singing this game. Every time I have a chance to tweet about this game. Yeah, Shadow Labyrinth, the weird Pac-Man game. Looks great. I want Pac-Man World 2 repack, for fuck's sakes. Pac-Man World 2 is one of the greatest platformers of all time. I don't care what anyone says. It's amazing. Remake it. Bandai, I know you just canceled 5 games, and I'm sure one of them was Pac-Man World 2, but there's still time. There's still time. It is still Pac-Man's anniversary, and you can announce the remake. Anyway, that is all the time that we have. I think this is going to be the longest podcast we've ever done by a couple minutes. But anyway, where can people find everyone? Amy Lynn, go.
Amethyst Lilac, there's more Ys than you're expecting.
Akami, go.
You can find me at Ekamy, EKAMY, on Blue Sky, Twitch, and YouTube.
Lloyd.
Lloydster, and I'm going to steal, I think Emily did this one episode, but just go on whoever follows True Avatars on your favorite platform and find me there. I'm there.
Plus, I follow a lot of the, if you go into my following and my followers, there's a bunch of the queer games we've talked about, the queer indie games, so you can follow them there as well, too, and I highly recommend it, because they post funny shit, and good shit, and just general, helps them get their game out there, too. Anyway, thank you so much for joining me, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks to your avatars for joining me for another episode of your Queer Video Game Podcast. If you've made it this far into the episode, I really appreciate you taking the time to support queer-made content. If you want to support the show, it would be really great if you could leave a rating, review, or comment on your preferred podcast platform. I welcome you to check out the website trueavatarspodcast.com, all one word. That's trueavatarspodcast.com. You can also find the show on Blue Sky, Threads, and YouTube under the handle @trueavatars, all one word, and on Instagram under trueavatars. Importantly, if you or anyone you know is queer and involved with video games in some way, please don't be shy. I would love to hear from more queer voices in video games. Your voice is unique and valid and worth sharing with the world. And if you don't want to be on the show or know anyone who's interested, but you know about a cool queer video game or a games industry story that's queer related, please let me know. The show's official email is trueavatars.podcast@gmail.com. That's trueavatars.podcast@gmail.com. You can also feel free to reach out via the website or the aforementioned social media pages. Things are tough out there, and queer people need to stick together when we can. Bye, True Avatars. Thank you so much for listening, and I look forward to speaking with you all again next week. Take care and stay safe.